Welcome into the Press Row Show. Somebody's missing here. They left their house, allegedly, prior to 5 p.m. I left my house officially at 5:25. I'm here, he's not. But welcome into the Press Row Show. Joined by one of our favorite guests, Jackie Spiegel from the Philadelphia Inquirer. Hi, Jackie.
How's it going?
It's going well. It's going well. Intern Andrew's here on the ones and twos, as Russ likes to say.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, there he is. He's over there.
I will say, in Russ's defense, this is the latest that I've gotten here in the past 2 seasons. I usually like to get here like at least an hour before.
Yeah.
I got here 30 minutes before we went live.
Yeah,
I was hustling. It is a nightmare traffic situation out there. So
to be fair, there's a Phillies game across the street.
There is.
Right, and they're going to draw 40,000 people for the Phillies. They did yesterday, so they're going to get 40,000 again today. So that does make it a little bit more busy down this end. But Russ wasn't down here at 4:52 when he texted me, Jackie. He wasn't here at that time, and I got down here, and there was a little bit of traffic.
I got here. I left my house at 4:20.
Yeah.
I got here. Oh, sorry, 5:20. I got here at 5:45.
See?
But I also live like very close.
Yeah, but I get it. Russ is a little bit further, right? But you got to be a little bit better prepared.
I didn't even know the Phillies were playing until I started driving, and I was like, "Oh, there's a little bit of traffic."
You think he would know by now? He runs a sports media company.
That is true.
Right? That follows Philadelphia sports. You think he would have known by now?
The Russ Joy Show.
But anyway, he's not here. So it's just you and me to kind of kick things off and then talk about this team in what is the final Press Row Show of the season.
I'm honored.
Yeah, final Press Row Show of the season because it's the last home game. Snow the Goalie will continue after this, but this is our last one here at the Wells Fargo Center and the last game being played at an arena called the Wells Fargo Center.
Do we have a new arena game here?
Not one that's been put out there officially yet.
Ooh, little tease there. Sorry.
There is one, but it's not public knowledge yet. So Flyers, Blue Jackets. Actually, the game has meaning tonight, Jackie. Thanks to the Chicago Blackhawks winning in that shootout against the Montreal Canadiens last night, the Columbus Blue Jackets are still clinging to a playoff hope.
Did you watch that game last night?
I watched the end of it.
Did you see how they didn't know that puck went in the net?
I know. I don't know how they missed it. I don't know how they missed it. Like the replay showed, it was more obvious than the Blackhawks scoring against Michael Leighton in the Stanley Cup Final in 2010. It was more obvious than that, and yet they didn't know. Nevertheless, Blue Jackets have a lot to play for tonight. So the Flyers are going to have to bring an A game a little bit to play up to this. It's not just going to be one of those games with two teams with nothing to play for.
Correct. It should be interesting to see. I mean, Sam Erson's in net.
Yeah.
I think that sends a little bit of a sign where things are with him and where the belief is with him. It's interesting to see. I don't think Devon Kaplan's in the lineup tonight, but he's somewhat. It was a bit of an interesting day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's talk about that stuff. I know that's one of the reasons we brought you on today.
It is.
I won't say what happened about this one today, but for the first time, ever, we had a guest ask us to come on.
Well, I just spent 5 days in St. Louis, so I missed you.
Yeah.
And obviously I missed the show.
Yeah.
And, I just spent 5 days in St. Louis covering the Frozen Four.
Yeah.
Talked to Alex Bump multiple times.
Yeah.
Talked to Devon Kaplan multiple times. Talked to Pat Fersweiler.
Yes.
Multiple times.
We'll get into all three of them today. So let's start with Devon Kaplan, who is here, burning a year on his ELC.
Interesting, right?
Yeah. What do you make of that?
I don't know. It's, I think he's a good kid. I think he's a big kid. I think he plays a big game. He's a power forward. He's still growing into that power forward role. But obviously, if he's burning an ELC, his first year of his ELC, he's not going to Lehigh Valley once this season ends. It puts a little bit more control in the Flyers' hands, I would say, maybe, because it's a 3-year, but already 1 year's burned, so it only gives him 2 years to kind of figure things out with the organization instead of 3 years, I guess, down the line. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting to see what the future holds for him with the organization. But I think he's a kid that's determined. I think he's a kid that knows he has a lot to work on still. So it'll be interesting to see what the future holds for him.
Yeah, I don't think it's all that big of a deal to burn the ELC, the first year of the ELC. I look at it as they see it and say, okay, we're going to give this guy a 2-year run and see what we get, see what we have.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of having to commit almost a third full year, there's we're signing him out of college, and when he's done his college career, we think there's a little bit of something there. We'll give it a shot. If it doesn't work out, it's only 2 years at a low number.
I think that's part of it is that it kind of gives loopholes for both.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And so I know a lot of people thought that it was like the Flyers were stupid for doing that, for just like one game, maybe if he plays the finale.
Well, you got you and you got other guys that are doing this right now, and they're not even playing, and those teams are actually going to play in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but there's those guys. That's the point. Those guys could play in the playoffs. Right. They potentially.
I mean, Minnesota's a little on the fence right now.
Right. They potentially could play in the playoffs. So, but really, it's not like it's a star player or a top prospect that you're burning a year of their entry level contract. It's a guy you're taking a chance on. So it's low risk, high reward kind of.
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah.
Like I said, he's still someone who's kind of growing into this game. I don't know if you watched, especially the national championship game.
Yeah.
I mean, he was driving to the net. He was being active. He was creating a lot of his role. And I talked to Cole Eiserman about this too, who's on his line. Is that a lot of it is that yes, he's a big body and whatnot, and he still has a lot of growth in his game, but he creates a lot of space for him. And Cole Eiserman is like your Alex Bump. He is a goal scorer. That is what he does best. And yeah, it's interesting to see what he could potentially grow into. I mean, even Jay Pandolfo said he's still got a lot to work on. I don't know if it would have been advantageous for him to return to college for one more year, anyway, or 2 more years anyway. So might not make him pro.
Yeah, no, I think it's a totally worthwhile gamble by the Flyers. It's not hurting them, and it's not in any way, and it's not hurting the kid in any way. So I think it's totally fine. Also signing today, their ELC, but this one doesn't kick in until next season. Is Alex Bump, and he will go to the Phantoms on an amateur tryout contract. I love how the loopholes exist for this kind of stuff to take place. So he can sign his entry-level contract, play this year, not have it count, because he's on a different kind of sort of fake contract to play with the Phantoms for the rest of this year.
Massimo Rizzo did it last year.
Yeah, I know.
And there's guys that do it.
The NHL allows this nonsense to take place. I mean, it's whatever. It's fine. It's fine. It's not. A lot of teams do it. I'm not saying the Flyers are going to do it.
Right.
A lot of teams do it. It's silly. Like, the guy is your player. You drafted him. You want him to play. He should be under contract. Not like, oh, well, we're going to sign him, but it doesn't kick in until next year, and we're going to do this fake contract for the rest of this year.
Would you rather him not be playing right now?
No, he should be playing.
Okay.
Like to me, I'm.
But you can't. The rules are, and that's a collective bargaining agreement, not necessarily. The rules is that he cannot make the AHL roster if he wasn't on the AHL roster.
I know.
If he has an NHL, it's very complicated.
Which is a problem. That's the problem. It's been like that for years.
Yeah.
And that's why this whole ATO thing is stupid. Like, any player you want can play in the playoffs if you sign them to an ATO. Like, it doesn't, like, so why have the rule in existence?
Well, I don't think
no, obviously a pro can. But
pro can, yeah,
of course. But any one of your prospects, if you wanted to, sign an ATO, you can go play after the deadline, no problem. So then why have the rule to begin with if you can't go after the deadline? Unless you sign an amateur tryout contract. You know what I'm saying? Like,
money makes the world go round.
It's stupid. It's dumb.
But Alex Bump.
But let's talk about Alex Bump. You had a chance to talk to him.
Had a lot of chances,
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he was a key player for them in their run to the championship, and really a guy that the Flyers are very, very high on.
Very high on.
And they think that there's a real chance that he's part of this roster next year. What can you tell us about what it was like talking to him and what you saw in him down in St. Louis?
Well, I will first say to you is that sitting in the press box or sitting downstairs in the media area, the number of people who came up to me, because they knew I was there for the Flyers-related content, and Penn State, obviously, but for Alex Bump, the number of people who came up to me and said, wow, the Flyers got a really good player here, I can't even count on my two hands.
Yeah.
That's how impressive Alex Bump was. And I mean, he was all over the place. And obviously my focus, especially in the Western Michigan games, was on Alex Bump. But I saw a kid who is great at puck possession, great at puck protection, great at finding open space. He loves to cut to the middle. He loves to do a pull and shoot, toe drag and shoot. Like, he lives for that. And actually, if you go on the Philadelphia Inquirer's Instagram account, and also my Instagram account on Instagram.
I love this self-promotion.
You love this, right? Well, if you go on it, I actually talked to him about his stick and how he manipulates it. And he manipulates it on purpose so he can do the pull and shoot that he loves to do so much. I also talked to his high school coach. There's multiple stories about Alex Bump on the Inquirer right now if you want to head over to get a lot of background on him. He, in my mind, he is going to be a top 6 star on this team.
Wow.
Do I think now I will say, I talked to Riley Armstrong.
Stick your neck out a little bit, Jackie.
I talked to Riley Armstrong. He did say he needs to add some muscle and some weight, and I will say that is correct. 100% correct.
Yeah.
He has a high skill level. To me, sometimes he looks a little bit like it reminds me a lot of Jack Hughes in the beginning, and maybe even watching him at Four Nations where he'd get pushed around, he would fall down, and wasn't very strong enough on his skates at key moments. So I think he does need to add bulk, he does need to add weight, but he's a big kid, he's tall, he's 6'2"-ish, and he's a confident kid. Some people might think of it as a little cocky, but I actually think he has just a lot of people commented to me, his coach, Pat Fersweiler at Western Michigan, his high school coach at Prior Lake, Riley, even I talked to Danny Briere about him. That's all in the article, by the way. But they all say he has this confidence in himself and he knows he can score. And people will right away say, well, he didn't have any points in the 4 games after they won the NCHC. Like, he scored the double overtime winner and that to win the conference championship. Right. Well, he didn't have any points. Well, he did have 1 assist. He didn't have any goals. But if you watch what he did, the only reason his line mate Owen Michaels scored 4 goals in the 2 games of the Frozen Four is because of what Alex Bump did out there. I believe it was the game winner, the double overtime. It was a very long game, but the double overtime game winner for Western Michigan against Denver in the semifinal of the Frozen Four. He takes 2 guys with him and gives Owen Michaels all the room to score. And a couple, can't remember if it was Pat Fersweiler or Riley that talked about how he does attract attention.
Yeah, that's great. I
know I'm a little high on him. But
no, you should be higher on him because there's no doubt that he kind of slipped through the cracks in his draft year, right? Yes. And you ask anybody around the league, they'll tell you that after seeing him play, that there's no reason he should have fallen as far as he fell to the Flyers.
Correct.
That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to come into the league and suddenly be a star player, but he certainly should have gone much higher than he did.
And he will tell you that.
Right? And a lot of guys, right? A lot of people, not even just Flyers people will tell you that.
Well, he will tell you that.
Yeah, well,
he said to me, I am not a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
And I think he showed that.
That's good, and it's good that he feels that a little bit of a
little edge,
chip on his shoulder, right?
A little
chip on his shoulder, right? That's good. Good for him. Yes, he does have to put on some muscle.
Yes.
And there's no doubt about that. But the one thing that you could say about playing college hockey, I'm not trying to compare it by any stretch of imagination to pro hockey, but the difference between playing NCAA and playing junior is you are playing against guys who are more physically developed in the NCAA than you are in Canadian junior. Because in Canadian junior, sometimes you're playing against 16-year-olds.
If you look at his own teammates, if you look at him next to Tim Washi, I can't remember how to pronounce the last name, but it's like night and day.
Yeah, I mean,
he's an adult.
Yeah, so that there is that. So even that, he still needs to put a little bit of something on. I guarantee you, what he looks like today versus what he looks like when he arrives for training camp will be a whole different player. Will be a whole different person. I'm
excited to see what he does at the AHL level.
Yeah, well, he's going to look. The Phantoms are kind of loading up a little bit. They could actually make a little bit of a run in that AHL playoff.
Yeah, it's always that fine line though between making okay, we got all these pieces and they're really good, or there's no chemistry yet developing and it kind of falls to the wayside.
Well, they're trying.
They're trying.
They're trying at least. So.
And I kind of like the idea that they're giving these guys who are going to be on the team next year, who are going to, push for roster spots with the Flyers next year. They're giving them all the opportunity to succeed right now.
Good.
Not bad.
So you talked to Pat Fersweiler, huh?
I did.
What were your impressions of this guy? Yeah. There's a reason I'm asking this question, and I'll get to my breakdown as to why we're there. But tell me a little bit about Pat Fersweiler.
Well, first of all, I talked to him multiple times. I talked to him on the phone first for my Alex Bum story. I talked to him in St. Louis as well. And I watched a lot of him on the bench, right? As I kind of made a joke in one of my stories, like as a Flyers beat writer, you're kind of trained to see to look at the bench and to look at how the coach reacts and interacts. And I have to be honest, I was very impressed.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with Pat Fersweiler. I talked to him a lot. There's actually another story, a separate story on Pat Fersweiler, where I talked to him about his coaching style and his strategy and how he wants to run a team. And this is not a guy who's a college coach. This is a guy who coached 5 years with the Detroit Red Wings as an assistant.
Right.
He has NHL experience.
Correct.
He knows how to run, and he runs his team like an NHL team. I was impressed by his calm demeanor. Like, there was one point they're up, I don't even know, like 5-2, and he's like on the bench, you see him being like, "That's all right, like, okay, that's great that we got a goal, but maybe 4-2. I mean, but he was kind of saying to them, like, it's great, but we have to remember what we're here to do, kind of thing. The only time I ever saw him like freak out on the bench a little bit was Alex Bump actually broke a ski lace, and it took him a while to he lost like 2 shifts to get this fixed, because according to Alex, it broke. It got put back in. It got put back in incorrectly. He needed to get it fixed again. So he called it shenanigans when I talked to him after the game. And that was the only time I maybe saw Pat kind of be like, what is going on right now? But overall, I'm impressed. I think he runs a strategy similar to what John Tortorella does or built here. I'm not saying that the Flyers need to maintain that same like strategy and everything. But when you have these young guys, it might not be a bad thing. But he's not a John Tortorella. I want to preface it.
And that's what I was just going to point out. Like, I mean, it's one thing to say you can have a John Tortorella structure.
Yes, I'm not saying he's also wants guys to go like diving after, blocking every shot.
But also not be the same kind of coach that, the way you treat people or talk to people or handle your players, like that could be different. But you still have the same.
I don't see that same personality in him. Oh, hello, Russ.
Oh yeah.
But I do like the fact that I think
every game I've been listening to you and Jackie on a 5 or 10 or maybe 20-second delay. But that's the beauty of the Press Row show.
Yeah.
Yo, this city better get its mother bleep and bleep together before the World Cup gets here, because it was an absolute abomination. Horrible. I don't know. 422, the Schuylkill. I got rerouted into Conshohocken.
This is what you get for trying to follow a GPS. Just drive the same damn route every time.
I will.
How hard is this?
I'm not defending Russ here, but I will say today was the first time my Google Map, whatever you want to call it, gave me a different way to go, where it had me cutting through the streets a little bit before I got on 76.
It looked like where I usually get on at the Blue Route around the Concha Curve. There must have been an accident right there, because I saw red, and so then it was like I hate taking the Schuylkill from that point.
Is that the one that goes like right along the river?
It's horrible, and it is what it is. I couldn't even be angry. Like, as I was texting you guys on my way here, I was like, I'm just watching the ETA go up and up and up. I'm like, I can't even be angry. I mean, I could, but I'm not going to be angry. I'm happy. It's the last game of the season.
Or you could learn
here at Wells Fargo Center.
Or you could learn.
Don't old man me right
now.
How
to get off of the highway when it's jammed and find a different route.
That's what I did. I got off at Route 23.
Well, that was.
And I took 3 miles of uncontested road.
That was a mistake.
But then there was a loop-de-loop to get back onto the Schuylkill, young man.
You didn't have to do that, though. That's another mistake. So in other
Maybe
words,
you should have called Anthony.
In other words, you're telling me you compounded mistake after mistake after mistake.
I followed what was supposed to be a faster route, and
this is what
you
happens.
sound like me driving around here, and I don't know where I'm going.
What happens is
when you're an older person,
and over here is acting like last week or 2 weeks ago, Captain Dork over here, who I said, hey, traffic's really bad. You might want to leave early. Showed up late, which is okay, but he doesn't live that far away. And he was late.
No, but why was I? No, I was not late because of your traffic. Why was I late?
I don't remember.
The train broke down.
Oh, we're going to blame the train now.
The train broke on the route down here. The
train's on a track. It has no choice.
And it broke down in the intersection.
A flat circle.
And I couldn't move.
You could have gotten an Uber.
That's exactly
but
right.
I couldn't move.
An Uber, you could have gotten on the train.
I was on the street that leads up to the where the train track.
You could have driven on the tracks, gone around it.
There was nowhere to go. You were just sitting there, like you were just stuck. That was why I got it. So, like, those kinds of things happen.
Uh-huh.
But you do have a Rush Joy show, and you do talk about baseball.
I will curse a decent bit.
But you talk
on
about
tomorrow's
you do
show.
talk about baseball. On
I do. I know that there's baseball across. It does not take. It took me 2 hours and 18 minutes. 2 hours and 18 minutes on the road. I'm not leaving my house at like 3:30. Like, I'm sorry. And again,
but you don't want to hang out with us?
The World Cup is going to be here, and this parking lot is still a god dang disaster, and it's going to be worse.
Oh yeah.
How has no one figured it out yet?
It's over the summer. Right?
We talked to Hilferty 2 years ago about like widening the entrances, and it seems maybe they widen these. We got to figure it out, folks. Got to figure it out. Anyway, I was listening to you guys.
Back to Pat.
A lot of love around Bump. We love Bump.
It's going to be quite a. I can't wait to write about Bump, Barky,
Bonk,
Yarnison.
Barky.
It's a shame they traded Joel Ferrer because he got Beezer.
Killer Bees.
The Killer Bees.
Many bees. How about the Bee Gees? Do we have any guy who has a G?
So we cut. No. Let's get back.
Nobody.
To Pat Fersweiler. So
yes.
So you were talking, and it's interesting because we've talked on this program already since they fired Tortorella about who's going to be the next coach.
Yes.
And I'll tell you that their number one choice still remains
Rick Tocchet.
Rick Tocchet. Right? Still is Rick Tocchet. They would prefer Rick Tocchet. There are a couple of things, though, that have kind of come into play since that firing that could impact the ability for Rick Tocchet to get here. Not saying it's definitely going to do that, but it's a possibility. One of them being that the Vancouver Canucks could well bring him back.
Wow.
Okay.
I think they have the option,
They
so
do have the option.
They have a little bit of control there, I think, right?
But what Rick Tocchet wants in his next contract,
right,
could well determine where he goes next and with who.
Right.
And from what I'm hearing, Rick's asking for a big deal.
Wow.
A big deal.
What's he won?
I don't want to put it out there because it's negotiated.
No, I'm saying I said what's he won? It's interesting because Rick Tocchet's name is out there a lot.
Yeah, not.
There are a few reasons that Rick Tocchet's name seems to be out there, but none of them seem to be a long-term winning track record or having advanced deep in the playoffs.
He's had some success, but not nothing overwhelming.
Is there an equivalent right now of an Alain Vigneault out there that you'd say, all right, guy hasn't won a cup, but he's made it to multiple cups? I mean, there are going to be psychos that are going to say, how about a Joel Quenneville? Does that get you feeling hot and heavy? And that ain't happening.
So Quenneville was brought up to me too, and my issue with Joel is he's actually
not
on the older side, and he's also been out of the game for how many years now?
And
also, let's not even get into, or we kind of get into the other
reason
stuff.
Why he was kind of booted in the first place.
I don't think this is an organization that wants to touch someone who I would like to think.
You like the Canadian the Canadian pronunciation there?
Yeah. Say that again.
Which one?
What is this? What
organization?
Organization.
Oh,
You've been hanging around the Canadians.
You know what? It's because Jackie grew up in the unknown borough of Buffalo, which is pretty high up there in New York, and they may pick up a Canadian accent from time to time.
Yeah. No. So anyway, point being that Rick Tocchet, while still atop a very short list that the Flyers have, which I honestly think has 3 names on it. If I'm being
Can
honest.
I guess?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I would say Rick Tocchet.
Yeah.
Pat Fersweiler.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Mike Sullivan, but I don't know if he's gonna get fired. God. But also, well, I guess David Carl. But I'm not a fan of David Carl.
So let me tell you.
Oh wait, why don't you like David Carl?
I don't know,
wait, let's go there. That's the juicy name.
There was something about his approach that I didn't like. I looked when same game that I looked at Pat, or the semifinal game when I would look at Pat and I would look at David Carl. I don't know if you heard my kind of jokes before about how as a Flyers beat writer we're trained to.
Yeah.
Okay. It was funny. But I look at Pat and I look at David Carl, and David Carl you kind of see every now and then you see like a like what are we doing? Yeah. And I was like, oh my God, this is like not as bad as John Tortorella, but I think as a, we've all been involved in sports for a very long time. I've played, you've played sports, we have all played sports. Like if you have a coach that consistently is, that animated on the bench and reacting to every little, it's a lot. It's a lot. It wears on you. So I'm not a.
I'm gonna make a bold prediction.
Dave Carl's not leaving college.
Well, I don't think that too.
No,
he's going to Chicago.
No, I think he's going to end up on the Rangers.
Oh
no, that's where Torts is going.
No, Torts is going there. Yeah,
Torts is going. I'm
agreeing with that one. And you want to know why?
Okay.
I will tell you, John Tortorella is going back to New York because that's the only team
stupid enough to take it.
Well, he has a history. He has a history with Chris Drury. He has and he's the kind of player that team needs. They kind of need a little kick in the,
If you're Chris Drury, though.
They'll kill each other, but it'll be fast.
No. But if you're Chris Drury and you're like.
That team's built to win, though.
You're on a GM's hot seat. Are you throwing all your eggs in the basket of John Tortorella?
But that team is built to win more than
Drury seems to have a lot
out there.
Drury seems to have, as AV used to call it, money in the bank with that ownership group.
Yeah.
And even though this season went very sideways for them, listen, in most situations, Drury's probably on the outs. I mean, think 30 games into the season, we were hearing about all of the toxic things going on in that organization. In most cases, he's probably out on his ass.
He should be.
A couple months into the season. He will ultimately somehow finagle and keep that job. Lavi will somehow...
They fired John Davidson for him.
Yeah. So, listen, if there's one guy who maybe feels confident enough in his positioning with ownership that he would still ultimately maybe have a chance to win a power struggle with Torts, it's probably Drury. And in fairness, it's because their ownership has kind of, set the precedent. That
James Dolan loves him.
Yeah. No, so the third name was one that is already here, and that's Bradshaw.
Oh,
love Bradshaw.
I do love Bradshaw.
So Bradshaw was the third name. And I think that's it. I think that's the Flyers shortlist right now. I'm sure there are other names that are like, hey, if none of those work out, we could go in another direction.
I hope they keep Bradshaw. Let's say they don't give him the top job.
Yeah.
But they should keep him 100%.
I think that they want to, but I think Bradshaw's also wants to could be looking for a head coaching job too. So if there's one that is available, he might take that. It's a possibility.
I like what he's done.
So,
I apologize to Bradshaw for not mentioning Bradshaw.
Yeah, so Bradshaw is the third name. I still think it will. So Vancouver, I think, is going to make a quick decision. On top.
Yeah.
And when I say quick, I mean I don't think
Friday.
it's even. I think it's like as soon as the season's over.
Yeah.
And they will announce that either they're bringing him back for a big number, or that they're going to go in another direction. In which case, then the Flyers will be in hot pursuit. The question is, will the Flyers give Tocchet the number that he's looking for? And when I tell you it's big, it's big. And
it's bigger than what Tortorella was making?
I'll tell you off the air.
All right.
Because again, I don't want to.
What was Torts making? 5?
I don't want to burn. I don't want 4. I don't want to burn. Because it could be a negotiation tactic.
Well, you always come in asking for a lot, but if the dude's asking for like 7, 7.5,
we'll talk,
even 6, it's insane.
We'll talk about it afterwards.
How much is who's like the top paid? How much does John Cooper make?
I think Cooper might be but see, it's not.
But he's also won 2 cups.
Not everything is public knowledge.
Right.
Not every coach's contract is public.
Right. Not even every contract, as we saw today.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so I think Fersweiler's an interesting name.
Cooper's $5.3 million a year.
Thank you.
So the thing with
and Sully's making 5.5.
Yeah.
So the thing with Fersweiler, which a lot of fans I see reacting, it's he's Keith's friend, and yes, they were line mates at Western Michigan together for 2 years or whatever it was. Obviously, yes, they're friendly, whatever. But again, he has NHL head coaching experience, assistant coaching experience in the NHL.
Yes.
He's paid the dues. It's not like he's some guy walking in off the street. Like he's put in the work, and what he's done at Western Michigan is turned it into a bit of a powerhouse. And Western Michigan's been around for a really long time.
So their short list is 2 guys who are very friendly with Keith Jones and a third guy who kind of looks like Keith Jones.
I didn't even hear what you said. I stopped paying attention.
What else is new?
You know how many people have told me that, by the way?
What?
I just said
Keith Jones' brother?
I said there are 3 options. There are 2 guys who are very good friends with Keith Jones and a third guy who looks like Keith Jones.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. Anyway.
Listen, I don't hate the idea of Bradshaw being brought back. Here, the real question is this, right? Let's say Torts goes to New York. Is Shaw's loyalty going to fall to being the associate coach? And if not, is Bradshaw willing to take a 1 or a 2 year contract? A lot of coaches aren't. He's long been an assistant coach, an associate coach. You almost have it as like a prove it deal. Listen, I think that the Flyers are going to make enough moves and are going to go for the playoffs next year. I do. And to that end, I don't think you need to go out and get the guy who's going to be here longer term. I think you need to figure out, to some extent, is Bradshaw and are the wins that you've racked up here, in fairness, against some teams that did have maybe the dying embers of a playoff hope, but they're not total nothing burger teams that you've played against. Figure out, is this, because I say it's beyond a new coach bump. It's beyond that. So is it real? And does he resonate with these players? Don't lock in long term, but why not try to get a 1 year or 2 year deal? Now, if he pushes for 3 or 4, sure. Go out and explore the market. That's where I'm at.
It's hard to hire a coach on a 1 year deal.
Yeah.
It just is. In any sport, really. I mean, it's just
Even
hard.
two.
Two is tough as well.
I mean, that's part of David Carl's argument about not wanting to be an NHL coach, is the coaching carousel, the recycling of coaches, how you don't get time to grow and build a team like he did in Denver. If you listen to every, a reporter asked him after they lost in the semifinal, we have to ask you, what's the thought process moving forward? And he was basically like, oh, you can read all my other, quotes that I've said about it, kind of thing. And those are the quotes. The reason he doesn't want to make the shift is he doesn't like the culture of the coaching carousel.
Which is fair.
It's fair.
He's certainly, and he's happy out there. He has a very successful program. He's watched other guys make that jump, notably Dave Hackstall.
He's very close to Jim Montgomery. Look what, Jim, although he created his own issues, but yeah, he's loyal to Denver.
Is it safe to say
he's going to be coaching in the NHL next year?
Is it safe to say that regardless of who the Flyers hire, half the fan base is going to hate it?
Yes. Yes.
And on that bombshell, it's time to end. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next year.
I won't even say half the fan base. I will say those who are loudest and where they are loudest on social media will hate it. Yeah, I mean, of course, no matter who it is. But yeah,
you can't make everyone happy in life.
There's a large contingent that want to see Carl as the coach because he's the hot name, and you look at the age and you think about building and kind of building this thing up from the ground up. And I get why there are people who are enamored with him and enamored with the success that he's had at the international level and at the college level. I get it. I just don't think it's going to happen here. I just don't see him uprooting his family from Denver to come out here.
And he seems like he's not willing to move unless it is the absolute perfect match, and he doesn't have to leave Denver until that becomes available.
Yeah.
All right, Jackie. So wrap it up.
Yes.
Final appearance. Thank you for all you've done.
Oh, thank you
for us this year. We love having you on.
Here you go.
I love coming on.
Here you go. This is correct. If Brindamore somehow flames out, says something about the Rantanen deal again, and gets let go in Carolina, if he were to come here, that would pretty much be a unanimously well-received hire.
I agree with that one.
But that might be the only one, in fairness.
No, it won't be, because I think you'll get people saying, same old Flyers, hiring a former player, you'll get that crew. That crew will complain.
Nah, Brind'Amore's had enough success in Carolina that I think it overrides that.
Yeah.
I really do.
I guarantee you that would be out there. We'll never know. But anyway, got a prediction on the game?
I do.
Go ahead.
I'm going to go 5-3 Blue Jackets.
It's a good pick.
Thank you.
It's a good pick.
Thank you. I was correct Monday. With the winner, not the score.
Yeah, I went 4-2 Blue Jackets for this one.
I went Flyers 3-1 because let's be honest.
Is that gonna knock the Blue Jackets out?
With a legitimate chance to get close to that number 4 spot in the draft lottery, this team is certainly going to win their last 2 games. Look it. Intern.
I will take the Flyers 3-2. I think ironically they win this game on an empty net goal. Because the Blue Jackets want to pull the goal.
Yeah, they have to win in regular.
Well, they do have to win.
That's a smart call.
The irony of how Game 82 ended for the Flyers last year with them pulling the goal.
It kind of pulls at the heartstrings a little bit, this team.
And what was Bundy's pick?
Bundy
he said 4-3 Flyers.
4-3 Flyers.
So I'm the only one on our panel who went Blue Jackets. But
yep. All right, I'll put that out over on Twitter. You can respond there.
All right, fine.
But Jackie, thank you once again.
Thank you.
It's always fun to have you.
Always a blast.
And we'll check in with you again in the off season, and we'll
sure.
do this again.
I'm around.
Awesome.
I'm around.
Jackie Spiegel, Philadelphia Inquirer. Check her out there. Good stuff.
The pride of Brooklyn.
Finally got it right on the last day.
See? I pay attention. I pay attention here on the Press Row Show, and you should too. We will be back first intermission, second intermission, and post-game here on the Snow the Goalie channel on YouTube, X, and Facebook. If you haven't done so already, like the video, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. We not only do the Press Row Show, we do regular podcasts. We have a bunch of interviews from the archives that are going to be hitting that YouTube channel. A lot of fun stuff. And you can find the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts. Okay. We'll talk to all of you.
Put Bundy's up.
First intermission.
Go ahead, Bundy.
No, we got to go.
What's up?
Oh, welcome into the Press Row Show, the number one rated pregame, intermission, postgame show this side of the Mississippi South, the Arctic Circle, north of the equator. Game number 81 on the season, boys, but home game number 41. Another season almost in the books here with the Press Row Show. And we've been treated to quite the barn burner of a game. Tied at goals, 0. Tied on shots, 9 apiece. Bundissimo, I have to be honest. I thought that Columbus would look like they had a little bit more fire in their trousers, knowing that they have an actual chance at making the postseason. Is this a situation where they're just trying to mitigate mistakes? They're just playing overly cautious because they know what's on the line? Are you surprised that they didn't come out with a little bit more fire? What do you think?
I am, actually. I thought they'd come out with their hair on fire, to be honest with you. I was a little bit disappointed by the way Columbus did attack this game, but I guess there's a feel-out process, and, they also can't – they're really in a situation where they almost can't get down a goal because they have to win in regulation. So every goal the Flyers score, Columbus needs to get one back over top of them in regulation. So the first goal of this game becomes really, really important. I like the way the Flyers approached this first period. I mean, they did their job. They played hard. They got the puck out of the zone well. They made some good plays up in front of the Columbus net. But at the same time, I would expect Columbus to come out far better in the second period than they did in that first period.
And how are you feeling after that first?
It was a weird period for me, guys. I felt like it was a little bit of feeling out maybe the first. It was like in 2 to 3 minute chunks. It was like a feeling out period at the beginning. Then it was Columbus kind of took control. They had a few shots. Ersson had to make a couple of really nice saves early. And then there was that stupid penalty by Danforth, which was awful.
Yep.
And it kind of swung the momentum to the Flyers for a few minutes. They had a couple of really nice shifts. They drew another penalty. Of course, they couldn't score on the power play because Rocky Thompson Horror Show. And then it kind of went back to just kind of a feeling out period again at the end. It was just kind of weird how it just shifted every couple of minutes. I don't know. It was just I don't have a good feel for the game right now.
Yeah, and it is a very meaningful game. Even though the Flyers are eliminated from the playoffs, it's good to have a team like Columbus in here that you'd think was desperate. So I agree. There was a lot of momentum swings in that period. Columbus has the lead on the penalties. They took 2 that period to the Flyers 0. So that'll be the storyline to keep an eye on as the game moves on.
Because they'll even it out, right?
They're going to try to, for sure. And you don't want anybody giving any Columbus after the game whining about penalties. So they'll figure a way to even that out for sure.
Guys, it is, in fact, the 41st game of the season, and I thought it would probably be a nice idea to just take a little bit of a gander at what we looked like at the first game of the season. I just want to see side by side, what do we look like now versus what we looked like at the beginning of the season? They say that losing can age a man.
You definitely
This was us. This was us at the beginning of the year. Now, I would make the argument, one could almost argue, we're doing pretty darn good for ourselves.
That was game 1?
That was game 1. So here's us now, right? Here's us, game 1. Now.
Look at this. So,
are you wearing the same thing?
The same shirt on.
That's awesome. Anyway, I just thought it would be interesting. Like, that's not the same quarter zip. But, I mean, I think we're doing pretty good, guys. Yeah. I don't think that the losing took a huge toll on us this year. I got to say.
Look at your hair.
My hair was very.
It was.
Look at how brushed back it was.
Nice and coiffed, that opening game.
Look, Russ looks like he's about to get married right there. Look at him.
And now look at him.
Look at him now. He looks like he's been sleeping in a gutter for the last 2 months.
You got to just enjoy that lettuce when you got it, guys.
Absolutely.
I'm actually going to donate my hair to Ant. So next year, he's going to go to Turkey, and he's going to get a hair transplant right up here. And when you see that wonderful coiffed pompadour when we start the season next year, you'll know that he's got a piece of me with him always. It's one of the worst things I've ever said. Let's go to intern with the stat of the night. Intern Andrew, you know what? I could do the same thing with you that I just did with us. Let's see what young intern Andrew looked like. Hold on. Let's bring you up on the screen here first. Hold on. Give me a second. I lost our ability to bring you on the screen. That's not ideal. There you are.
I'm in there.
There you are. All right, so there you are now. And this was you at the beginning of the year. Intern Andrew, beginning of the year. And intern Andrew. Now,
I think my hair's a little bit longer.
You switched sides of the screen.
That's true, yeah.
Wow. Big news there. All
I
right.
probably had just gotten it cut fresh for the beginning of the season.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This past month, I've just been letting it go.
In case anybody wants to know the score, it's 0-0 here in South Philly.
It was really eventful.
Intern, go ahead. Hit us with the stat of the night.
Hold on, my mom. You can get a haircut. That's funny.
Mom's telling you need a chop. It's
Yeah,
time
I
for
know.
a cut.
I know. So I know I've talked a lot about Michkov this year because he's seemingly the only interesting part of this team. One more goal would give him sole possession of 7th place on the Flyers' all-time rookie scoring record for a season. He's right now tied with Matt Reed and Andre Lacroix for 7th, which was kind of a mess stat, but I did find a much more interesting stat, I thought, for that's Columbus-related. So the Blue Jackets over the weekend had a home-and-home with the Capitals. They won 7-0, and then on Sunday won 4-1. Both of those games, Adam Fantilli had 2 goals. If Fantilli has another 2-goal game today, he'll become just the 3rd player in league history, age 20 or younger, to have 3 consecutive multi-goal games.
Wow.
I'd be impressed if you can go up with the other 2.
Well, I'm pretty sure didn't you use this stat early in the year when Michkov did it? No?
No, I don't think so. Not 3 consecutive.
I don't know. I thought this one came up. Okay.
I might have.
Okay.
Well, if you remember what the answer was, then go for it. I don't know that I did, though.
Maybe it was a multi-point.
That might
Maybe
have
it's a
been,
multi-point streak. Okay. So it's 2 players that have done it previously, is what you said?
Age 20 or younger, yeah.
How recently?
One in 2018, one in 1981.
All right, 2018, young players. McDavid didn't do it, did he?
No.
Yeah, that would have been 15. He was 15 draft, so. Who's the 18 draft? Buddy?
That wasn't that wasn't Nolan Patrick. That Nolan Patrick was 2019.
17.
He was 17?
17. So
God.
right.
I've expunged it from my brain.
The irony is a former Blue Jacket and is rooting really hard for the Blue Jackets to lose right now.
So it's a guy who plays for Montreal, who used to be a Blue Jacket.
Oh, Laine.
Patrick Laine.
Interesting. Okay. And the other one's from 1981?
Yeah.
81. What team?
I think the Oilers.
Was that Messier?
No. He was really good, though.
Curry, Anderson.
No. Like, really good.
Like Gretzky good?
Paul Coffey.
It's Wayne Gretzky.
It's Wayne Gretzky.
Wayne Gretzky.
Oh.
I don't know. He might not be that good. In fairness, Ovechkin passed him on the goal-scoring list. So how good was Gretzky anyway?
Yeah.
Plus, you ever see the pads those goalies were playing with back in the Gretzky days? I mean, he'd be lucky to have 800 points.
I have a little game we can play.
Okay.
Since we have to kill some time here.
Why do we have to kill time? We have analysis. There's analysis.
Oh,
for the
yeah.
first period.
Plenty of it. In the history of these two, let's do this like Name That Tune. You ever seen Name That Tune? So you got a bid, right? See who gets to play the game, right? So you can make the bid. All time, there have been 35 players, 31 skaters, and 4 goalies who have played for both the Flyers and the Blue Jackets. How many can you name?
I can name a few.
Well, give me a number. We're going to see who gets to play the game. Whoever has the highest number gets to play.
I can't hear anything. Sorry, guys.
Did you hear what my question was?
Yeah, it's back in.
All time, there have been 35 players, 31 skaters, 4 goalies who have played for both the Flyers and the Blue Jackets.
All right, so
Provorov's one.
Well, no, I'm asking how many can you name? If I had to give you a number, if you had to pick a number,
6.
Bid a number. So Russ goes 6.
I'll say 7.
All right. Andrew goes 7. Can you do 8, Bundy?
I don't. 8 players that have played
for both teams. If you could do 8, we'll go. You'll be the guy.
I'll say 8 then.
Okay, Bundy. Name me 8 players who've played for both.
Should we write down our answers?
Like
then, so
all
that
right.
we do know?
Provorov.
There's 1. Yes.
R.J. Umberger.
That's 2.
Bobrovsky.
3.
Or played for the Flyers from Columbus, right?
Either way, they could have started there, come here, or vice versa. Doesn't matter the order.
Jake Voracek.
4.
Jeff Carter.
5.
It's pretty good. 5 I got already.
Yeah. There's a few that you're missing though.
Yeah, but what
Jody Shelley.
6.
Oh, that was a good call.
There's a few that you're missing. You're like, oh my god. How can I forget that guy?
I said R.J. Umberger. Yeah, I said
You
him.
did. Couple guys you played with.
Oh, Scotty Hartnell.
7.
I've only got one more.
You got one. You got one more to give, and you win. Give me one more.
I got 7 out of 8. I can't think of the 8th one.
What happens if he doesn't get 8? Does he get like smacked? Like what's
No.
Wait, let me see. I said Voracek, Hartnell.
Bundy.
Couple guys you played
Bundy.
with.
There's a guy who played here recently that was well liked in the locker room, but it didn't work out. He was a forward. Really, really well liked guy.
Recently here?
Smaller forward. He never really found quite the success. Very streaky goal
Cam
scorer.
Atkinson.
Cam Atkinson.
Yeah.
That would be 8.
Yeah.
Here's
We
some.
help each other out here.
Here's some names that you didn't mention, Bundy, that you played with. Andy Delmore,
Okay. I would never have got that.
Kevin Deneen,
Never would have got that. Yeah.
right? Chris Gratton,
Yeah, never.
James Van Riemsdyk.
James Van Riemsdyk.
Yeah, this one's a little unfair, but you played with a Mike Manila,
Yeah, I forgot about that. I
Did
never would
Steve
have got
Mason
Yeah.
play for the?
that. Steve Mason.
Steve Mason
Vin,
played
yeah,
for
Steve
Columbus.
Mason, Vinny Prossman,
I never would have gotten that. Yeah, actually, I might have gotten that after a while.
Luke Richardson.
Luke Richardson. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just going with guys you played with. Mike Sillinger.
Yeah, Mike Sillinger. Yeah. His son's on the team.
Yeah. I think that's it for the guys you played with. Yeah. Some other names. Derek Brassard.
Oh, yeah.
Friend of the program.
Yeah. Michael Delzato.
Yeah.
He played for the Blue Jackets.
Yeah.
Where did Dale Weiss come from? Canadians.
No, he wasn't there. Wasn't there. No, there is one other guy you played with. Matthias Timander.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember that, though.
Yeah, only one season in Columbus, I think, or whatever. But another one. Jeff Sanderson. You didn't know. You
No, I
didn't play
remember, yeah, I remember. I
You didn't play
know
with
him, though.
Sanderson.
Yeah, played against him.
Played against him.
How many coaches can you name that coached in both Philadelphia and
Well,
Columbus?
3.
Torts.
2, right? 2. Torts, Hitch.
Torts, Hitch. And,
I think that's it.
Is that it?
I think that's it.
Hey, Bundy. I have,
ever coach in Columbus or no?
I have a Hitch-related question. Tubular meats tonight. Somebody had them cranked up really high. So this is actually like dehydrated. This is like finding a mummified hot dog. What would Hitch have said if he had waddled over to the food stand in the press box and found a dehydrated hot dog like this, but he expected a good juicy one?
This is illegal in the hockey community. Nobody should come up here and have a hot dog that has no interior, but just burnt skin on the outside. That's not right.
Thanks,
I
Hitch.
got to get back on my hitch a little bit. I've been off it too much lately.
Can you hit us with? Can you still do the mating call? I don't think you've done it all year. There you go.
He actually used to do that. That's the funniest thing.
Really?
I'm not like doing it to be funny. He would do that. He'd be like, make some noise on the bench. If he made a bad play, he'd be looking at him like, what are you talking about?
That's the all-timer. That was the.
There was one other guy you played with. I forgot. I can't believe I forgot. On the list. Goalie. Played for Columbus.
I played with him?
Yes.
Eshy?
Nitamaki?
No. I can't believe we forgot this.
Czechmanic? No.
No.
I don't know.
Boosh.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about him. That's a good one. Yeah.
So there you go. I thought that was fun.
That was fun. That was good.
Yeah.
That's part of the hilarity here at the Press Row Show. You want analysis, you come here. When it's a good game, you come here for analysis. You know what I decided? Because I think it was last game, there was somebody who was very upset with our intermission show because we had fun instead of breaking down a lackluster game. And you know what I figured out about this show?
What's that?
We are not a standard intermission and postgame show in pregame.
No.
We are more akin to like the NBA on TNT.
Yes.
Inside the NBA, or like the NHL version of that they do on TNT. There's more hilarity here. There's more. It's hockey.
You
It's a hockey,
can't break down that
it's a
period for 18
hockey-adjacent
minutes.
show.
There's no way.
Well, the other thing that we don't have access to, and that in 2 years of being partnered with the Flyers, that we still don't have access to, is highlights. We don't.
That's not their fault.
Well, no.
That's an NHL thing.
Yeah.
No, it's an NHL thing.
There are ways to work around, but if we had access to highlights like they do on TV, or access to the,
You think the rights holder wouldn't throw a hissy fit about that?
or owned by the same corporate umbrella?
Well, we're not.
Well, but we're partnered. I'm just saying.
I will say one thing: replays would be great.
Yeah,
if we could just get the goal replays, put up a score. I don't know how that could ever happen, but that would be a game changer.
I could yank it off of Twitter,
Russ.
and who's gonna complain?
When I worked for the Flyers,
Yeah.
Sportsnet complained about content we were creating for the Flyers website. Like,
That makes sense if you don't think about it.
you talk about being owned by the same under the same umbrella, and they complain.
I like this, by
So-
the way. Cody Hertzler over on YouTube says we're the Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Ah, that's good.
I like that. Although it
Now
has to
that
be our
would-
backs. That would be fun. We're not allowed because you'd be able to see the rink or whatever.
Yeah.
But if it was just our silhouettes facing the rink
Yeah,
and the stuff that we say to each other during the game as we're breaking down the game.
that would be fun.
Yeah.
I love that we go off the rails. I think that's what makes the show what it is. We broke down that whole period in 6-7 minutes.
Yeah,
We may as well have fun with the rest of it.
That's
Be
right.
entertained. If you want a sports person or you want to have a good laugh, turn it on.
That's
I
right.
used to do pregame and post and intermission live on NBC Sports. You're told what to say. They don't want you being too controversial. And they have intermission. They have commercials during it, which gives those guys a break too. We don't have a break. There's no intermissions here, or commercials during it. Well, I guess there is, right? Like YouTube will throw one on, which I hear about all the time.
And you used to have to deal with was Barkan doing it then?
Yeah, I always liked all the talent I worked with over there. They were great people.
Yeah.
They were always good.
That was pre-Blue Glasses Barcan. That
Yes.
was it. That
No. I had blue
did you?
glasses Barcan.
Because pre-Blue Glasses Barcan hit very differently than Blue Glasses Barcan.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was definitely
Puck drop.
there was definitely a change in tone there. But
Yeah.
anyway, that's it.
We will be back. Second intermission of postgame. Join us here on the Snow the Goalie channel. Like the video, share the video, subscribe. We'll talk to all of you. Second intermission. Bye. Welcome into the Press Row Show, the number one rated pregame intermission postgame show at the side of the Mississippi, south of the Arctic Circle, north of the equator. And friends, the Columbus Blue Jackets have taken a 2-0 lead over your Flyers. But there's still time. As intern Andrew likes to say, still a lot of hockey remaining. Oh, I thought you were about to just jump on here. Hey, there's the TV camera. Intern, see if you can jump in there.
No. Don't jump in.
Intern, take the banner off the table and hold it up in front of what's going on over there with the TV camera. Snow the Goalie, the Only Flyers podcast. Let the people know.
I don't think it's the TV camera.
That's the arena.
That is the arena camera.
Lauren Hart's up here. She's going to sing.
Is she going to sing? What's she going to sing?
I don't know. But
I talked to Mike. She's going to do Straight Outta Compton.
We just lost video. Intern! We did?
No, I don't think we lost video. I think it's just that
we
Wi-Fi is slow here.
No, we lost video. Intern, do you see video over there?
Yeah, I'm still plugged in.
Oh, we have.
I'm not seeing it on mine.
I see nothing. I just see a spinning thing. Connection unstable.
Yeah, the Wi-Fi is bad. But if you're plugged where you're plugged in, if you're
double check the
hardwired,
YouTube feed. Intern, if you take us down on the final stream of the season, so help me, omnipotent creator of mankind. We might be fine. We don't know.
I'm at 800 megabits per second right now.
But you see things. See, I have a whole something went wrong.
No internet.
Uh-oh.
Wi-Fi. It's the Wi-Fi.
Well, here, let me kill off my Wi-Fi really quick. I am plugged in. I'm hardwired in. Let's see.
They're in the comments saying everything's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm hardwired in, though, and I have no internet. Okay, well, we're flying blind. And you know what? In fairness, half the time it looks like the Flyers are flying blind, too. Bundy, we talked about in the first intermission how it didn't appear as though this Columbus team, was kind of playing with that fire. Certainly seemed like they were more on top of their game and willing to go after it a bit more there in the second.
They had a much better second period, Russ. There's no doubt about it. They're doing what they have to do. They're fighting for their lives. They did not have a great first period. I don't think they had a whole lot of jam, if you want to go back to the words of Peter Laviolette a decade ago, or more than that now. But they had a better second period. They executed. They got that first shot that went through, a point shot went through a couple of Flyers that laid down to block it, up short side, up over the glove of Urson. And then as we talked about the penalties, we said that the penalties would get evened out. They sure did get evened out. And the Flyers ended up getting victimized on the second Columbus power play goal of that period. So 2-0 Columbus, and they've played a perfect second period road hockey. There's no doubt about it. The Flyers chasing this game now.
Anthony, how did you feel after that second? It kind of went the way I think we expected this to. Columbus is fighting for their playoff lives. Don't expect the Flyers to come in their final home game and roll over and die, but eventually the urgency is going to pick up.
I mean, there was a reason I picked Columbus to win this game, right? I mean, I kind of anticipated that they would be a team a little bit on a mission in this game. I was slightly surprised, like Bundy was, that they didn't come out with their hair on fire in the beginning of the game. But I think it was just a matter of time before they got their game rolling, and they realized, it wasn't going to come easy for them. And then it's like, okay, we have to take this to another level if we're going to, get on top of the Flyers. The Flyers aren't going to just, roll, like you said, they're not just going to roll over. So I think Columbus just needed to see the pace that the Flyers were playing at first, and then they've been much better this period, much more in control, much more puck possession. I think Columbus has just been they're the better team, and they've played like
they've played better. They've been in that battle for a while now, and then they've won 4 in a row, including beating the Capitals twice, who are resting players, but nonetheless, they're feeling the groove of winning right now, and it looks like they played that way in the second period today.
I actually meant to do a little look around the league right now. So if you're, both the Devils and the Bruins scored again. It's 4-3 Devils. It was just 3-2 while there was like a minute left in that period. That's wild. Okay, so currently the Devils are up 4-3 on the Bruins. Obviously, your eyes are there. The Kraken play later tonight. That is the final game for both of those teams. So when you're looking in that 4, 5, 6 range in the draft, a Bruins loss tonight in regulation would lock in Boston in that number 4 spot. A loss in overtime, I believe, leaves that in limbo a bit. And then we have, Seattle plays Los Angeles tonight. And where are we at on? I think that's it for tonight that matters. Montreal in action tomorrow against Carolina. So the outcome of this game could have significant ramifications on that remaining wild card spot as well. So interesting game. Interesting game we find ourselves
Montreal needs 1 point somehow out of that game against Carolina tomorrow.
Yeah.
And Columbus has to win again in regulation. Remember that. If they don't win in regulation, it's over. Doesn't matter. Montreal gets in because of the win-loss on the win-loss column.
I guess now is probably a good time to go over to intern Andrew. Although I think, all right, we're good. Intern Andrew, are you ready with your trivia question of the night?
I'm ready.
All right, intern. Now remember, this is the 41st home game. It's our last time together this season.
Yes.
Will this question live up to that hype?
I don't know. We'll see. Before I get into this, can I say something?
You have a rap?
No, I do not.
A poem?
No. Since this is my last trivia question of the year, I do have to make an announcement.
Yeah.
The place that my dad works at, he's an assistant general manager at a place that used to be called X Golf, but they're rebranding it to more of like a traditional like sports bar. So beginning Thursday on April 24th, and every Thursday henceforth, I will be hosting trivia night there every Thursday.
Intern Andrew Trivia Night. Intern Andrew Trivia. I love it.
Now, what we have to do is work out a thing at that place for us to go and host it, like to have a night. We'll make a team.
Well, we have to go do our own Quizzo team.
No. Yes, that's what I'm saying. We have to be a team, and we'll get a bunch of the Snow the Goalie listeners to come and make their own teams, and you can host.
So anybody in the area, Clubhouse Sports Bar in Chester Springs, every Thursday. The questions will be significantly easier than what they are here, because you guys are...
Are they all sports questions, or will they be general knowledge?
I think it'll be more than 50% sports, but there'll be some movies, trivia.
Okay.
So I'm going to be doing a lot of Wikipedia.
Oh, I love
write
that.
all these questions.
Love it.
I love that.
I love it.
Yes.
Intern Andrew,
That'll
look at
be-
this.
that'll be interesting.
He just got his start here on Snow the Goalie, and now he's a big-time trivia guy.
He's going to be the next host of Jeopardy.
I'm becoming Ken Jennings.
I love it.
Oh, it's great.
There you go. Tony Louis says my team name would be the Fandrews.
Love that.
That's good.
Lauren Hart's singing right behind.
I know.
You know, we never got an
Intern,
answer.
like, flips that camera
I know
a
you got
little
your trivia coming, but Russ, are you going to be doing the Snyder hockey draft again with us?
Well, we're going to have to talk about it because somebody over here might have a conflict. We'll have to see. We
right.
might be doing it.
I'll do it with Andrew then.
I would love that.
All right.
There's a good chance. We'll make sure that we make an announcement about that as well.
Yeah, that was so much fun last year.
It was.
That
That was a long stream. It
Yeah.
was a very long stream.
All right,
And we can
anyways.
grab a couple of people to do interviews and such that night. Would probably be a good idea. All right, intern.
So I believe last Wednesday, when the Flyers were playing the Rangers, Tyson Forster had a hat trick. And then last time we were here was the following Saturday. He had another 2 goals against the Islanders, and somebody put in the chat that apparently they mentioned on the TV broadcast that if he had gotten another hat trick, he would have become just the 3rd Flyer in team history to have back-to-back games with a hat trick. So I went back and found who the other 2 were. So I'll give you the years, 1988 and 1995.
Tim Kerr?
No.
No. Okay, John LeClaire?
No.
Keith Primo.
No.
No, 1995.
Before Primo.
1995.
I was 4.
Well, could have been Lindros.
I don't think it was Lindros.
It's Eric Lindros.
Yeah.
Is it? Wow.
Yes.
And so
We'll
88.
put a pin in that. We'll come back to it.
So Lindros in 95.
Yeah.
88.
She's killing it right now.
You're getting distracted. Rick Tocchet.
Rick Tocchet is correct.
That's why you pay the man $6.5 million. That's
the
why.
price. That's not the
$7.5
price.
million.
So the 2 games that
$9.5 million.
the 2 games that Lindros did, I believe this was your rookie year, Bundy, right? March of 95?
Yep.
So the 2 games that he got those back-to-back hat tricks, you played in both of those games.
Yep.
I will give you the date. I will give you the opponent. I want to see if you remember the final score.
Okay. It's a long remember. For
March
You've
18th,
done this before.
March 18th, 1995 at Florida.
And give him the second game so we can put the 2 together.
March 20th, 1995 here against Montreal.
That was a nice flight home.
Montreal game, I kind of remember. It wasn't like 7-5 or something, was it?
That's pretty close. You had 2 points in this game, as a matter of fact.
Was it? I remember. Was it like 9-4 or 8-7-5 or something like that? Right?
It's 8-4.
8-4. I said 9-4. Right?
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
You assisted Lindros's first goal in that game.
Yeah, and the Tampa Bay game
Florida.
or Florida game. I don't have any recollection of that game.
I'm going to say it was a lower scoring game because that Florida team was good defensive team. So
it was definitely lower than 8-4.
Yeah, it wasn't 8-4.
It was 4-3 in overtime.
Okay.
You guys won both games. 8-4 against Montreal. Patrick Waugh gave up all 8 of those goals.
Really?
Yeah.
Good. That's a good trivia.
Was the game winner in overtime? Was that Lindros, or was that somebody else? Did he have the hat trick in regulation? Somebody else scored the overtime goal.
Yeah. So do you want to guess who the other Flyer that scored it was?
Well,
Lindros had the overtime winner.
Lindros had the overtime winner.
It's either going to be the Defenseman or Leclerc or Renberg.
Because that's all who scored that year.
Right.
It's Michael Renberg.
There you go.
Assisted by Lindros and Leclerc.
I love that Rob Greeley is calling you Rain Man, because you really are.
Yeah.
When it comes to this stuff, man, it's unreal. It's unreal, man.
Do you want to take a stab at who the Panthers goalie was?
John Van Beesbrook.
It's Van Beesbrook.
Beezer.
Yeah.
There
John
you
Van
go.
Beesbrook. There's a great documentary that was made about the Mellenby and the rat and the rat thing, about killing the rat in the locker room, and then how that kind of vaulted them forward. This is before your time, so
I know what you're referring to.
Yeah, but there's a great you should look up the documentary because it's a really good documentary.
What year did they make the final?
95.
Oh, okay, you said it. Okay.
No,
96.
96.
They lost to Colorado.
Colorado.
Yeah.
They beat the Flyers in 95.
One of the worst losses we've ever had. That we were up 2-1 in that series. We lost 3 in a row.
That was 96.
96. Yeah, we were up 2-1 in that series. Yeah.
Yeah, 95-96 season.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was a bad series loss. Really bad. I remember that vividly, too, and I'm thinking, like, how did we just lose this series with the team we had?
Yeah,
it happens.
It was weird because you played Tampa in the first round.
Yeah.
And you didn't look right against them either. You won in 6.
Yeah.
But that Tampa team was not good.
Yeah, they weren't great.
And they won 2 games against you guys.
Remember they had that big battle with Ulanoff and Lindros?
Yeah.
Yeah, that series took a lot out of us physically.
Yeah.
I remember that. It was a very physical series against Tampa.
Yeah, and that was in that terrible arena, the Thunderdome, which is now where the Rays were playing before.
We set an NHL record that game in playoffs that year, with like 37,000 people at the game.
Yeah, it was a terrible arena to play in.
Awful.
Right? Yeah.
Awful.
The Thunderdome. And then you lost to Florida right after that. That's crazy. But good trivia, Andrew.
Thank you. Good
Nice
work,
job.
Bundy.
Good
work.
stuff.
Good work as always.
And now, but see, here's the thing. You're really good at the one question of the night.
Right.
And it's only 41 total questions on the season.
Yeah.
How many questions are there going to be,
So
each Thursday night?
It'll be 40 a week.
I mean, that's...
But it's not just hockey, though. I could
but-
pump out like 100 football questions in 2 hours.
You hear that? He can pump it out. Good for him.
I got to get you to join the Learned League
No. Do not
so
fall
that
for
you
this.
can have.
Do not fall for this.
Because you didn't care. You were.
It was the most pretentious... No.
What is he talking about?
It's a six trivia question thing every day. You take it's a league. It's a national trivia league, and it's 6 questions every day you have to answer.
They take it very seriously.
It's tedious.
No,
Yeah.
we're not taking it very seriously.
It's taken very seriously.
It's by the top level people, but not the lower levels.
And what level? Who's smoking a cigarette up here?
What level am I in? I'm in C.
I'm smelling cigarette.
It's
C
A-
for cigarette.
A-
Who's
I would
smoking a
love,
cigarette?
I would love to go back to a game in the 70s and 80s and just watch people smoking darts in their seats. Like, there's something about that lore where you look through a building. I remember it when you look at the building, when you're sitting in your seats and all you see is a cloud of smoke. That's hockey right there, boys.
Yeah.
That's hockey.
I like going into a good sports bar or like a good dive bar, and there's cigarettes, and they got the game on the TV. I have never in my, believe this or not, I've never smoked a cigarette.
Neither have I.
But the smell of the cigarette with the sports on, and maybe some wings or some pizza, I'm in. Probably a nice little margarita. No, No, not at a dive bar.
Oh, yeah. I used to love to have a good cigarette once in a while. Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Something about it, especially with a really cold beer. This is years ago, right? But there was just something about that cigarette that was like magical.
It never appealed to me.
Ever tell you the story about when I walked in, my first game in the NHL on the road is at the Boston Bruins. And Al Iafrady's doing his stick. And he's a massive man, right? Like he looked scarier than he was, but he was a gigantic human. He had the long hair. And I remember once we were walking in, and we had to pass the Boston area to go into the garden. And Al Iafrady was doing his stick. And I remember he took the blowtorch, had a cigarette in it, and he goes, and I'm like, wow, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. Just lit that cigarette up with the blowtorch. I thought that was just...
He's smoking a cigarette right
while he's doing his sticks. Another story I had once, Anatoly Semenov, my first year was smoking at the Spectrum.
Yeah.
I told you this story before?
Yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah, and then and there was another guy, too, that was out there. I was a guard or something, and I'm like, I'm doing my stick, and I'm like, oh, my God, look at this. Terry Murray, someone's going to catch this guy smoking.
Yeah.
He didn't care. He was like right outside the locker room. And Terry Murray goes up to him. He goes, Semi, don't smoke out here. Come on in the locker room where it's warmer.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I missed the era of the ashtray in the locker room. Remember Jimmy Leland smoking those darts in the dugout, or even, that was just good stuff, man.
And it's one thing for the manager to be smoking. It's another thing for the players, especially in a game that requires physical stamina.
Well, who was the Super Bowl? Was it the Super Bowl quarterback for Kansas City?
I was literally just going to say Len Dawson.
Len Dawson's like this. Right at halftime in the Super Bowl. It was like beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. But he used to cover the team while he was working.
Yeah, Mike Buck's Jim Fregosi. Jim Fregosi was another one.
Yeah.
He loved his darts, too.
Yeah.
All right, you got me going. I love this stuff.
Miller played. All right, we'll be back post-game here on the Press Row Show, the #1 rated pregame intermission post-game show. Talk to all of you after this one. We'll see how it goes. Can the Flyers claw their way back into this one and force overtime? Talk soon. On. Welcome into the Press Row Show, the number one rated pregame, intermission, and postgame show. This side of the Mississippi, south of the Arctic Circle, north of the equator. And for the final time this regular season, the number one rated, once again, postgame show. Anthony is doing what Anthony has been doing a lot this year, fighting back against artificial intelligence, writing stories for the Associated Press. Bundy is here. Intern Andrew's here. Guys, this went the way that we kind of expected it to. Columbus with something to actually fight for.
Who expected it to?
This is something that we all expected to have happen. Anthony's the only one who picked it, and I have to tell you now, Anthony is within one. Oh, God. Okay. Boston was very close to scoring. I have Boston's game pulled up right now. 16 seconds remaining.
This is the most hockey you've watched in one time
I know.
this season.
Well, a Boston point here, if this goes to overtime, makes a three-way tie between the
Most excited
Flyers,
you've been about hockey all
Flyers,
year.
Kraken, and Bruins. And it is going to go to overtime. So either Boston will end the season at 76 points, three-way tie. The Flyers would hold the three-way tiebreaker there with the fewest regulation wins. A win would automatically catapult Boston ahead of both the Flyers and the Kraken. Seattle have their last game tonight against the Kings. And we all know I'm insufferable and I care about lottery position. No one else does, but damn it, I'll go down on the ship. Bundy, when you look at this game tonight, is there anything that stood out to you as, I don't know, like a surprise or maybe a positive to kind of wrap up the final game at home?
I don't think so. I mean, if you look at the whole body of work in this hockey game, Columbus played a near-perfect road game. They didn't have a good first period, but they really did a lot in the second and third period to lock the game down, and they scored 3 goals, 3-0 final here for the Columbus Blue Jackets. But no, I don't think the Flyers played a bad game. I just felt like they played a game, and I would have liked to see them jump on Columbus a little bit more to try to send them to the golf course. But it didn't happen. Columbus stayed alive. They played a good game.
Anthony, anything that stood out to you? Did you take any positives out of tonight's game for the Flyers?
No. Well, Sam Ersson played. I think he played a pretty good game.
Good game. Yeah.
It was a good game.
Yeah. I mean, that's that. If you're looking for something positive from the Flyers, I think, he had a solid game and goal for them, which is good. Sorry.
What happened? ¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué pasó,
I left
señor?
the file open.
Señor, ¿qué pasó? Tiene que cerrarlo. What are you doing?
Sorry.
Ay.
I got a message from the AP.
Adrian Peterson? How's he doing? That would be what would be more shocking to you? Adrian Peterson working for the Associated Press or Ken Griffey Jr. as a credentialed photographer at the Masters like he was this
that
weekend?
real?
That was real.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
That was pretty cool, actually.
Do you remember years ago Randy Johnson was a credentialed photographer? I forget what he was photographing, but he had like it looked like one of those really long NFL sideline cameras. I don't know if you remember that or not, but Randy Johnson, the great pitcher for the Diamondbacks. Somebody brought that up to me because on Friday's episode of the Russ Show, I saw the thing about Griffey, and I was like, this is incredible. Like, can you imagine walking at Augusta, and it's hard to get in there. You're walking the grounds at Augusta, and you look over at a photographer, and you go, I think that's Ken Griffey Jr. It's pretty wild stuff. I don't know. Guys, do we break down this game? Do we?
No.
Okay. Do we want to interact with the commenters? We love the commenters on YouTube, X, and Facebook. We could do that. And we can try to wrap up what has been a very interesting season. Why don't we do this? I think we're going to do a post-mortem show when the season is over. But just in the interim, when you kind of take into account what the expectations were on this team entering the season, and now here, the end of the 41st and final home game, I think it would be safe to say that this team did not end the way that we expected it to. Where they did position-wise but now they are without Morgan Frost, they are without Joel Farabee, they are without Eric Johnson, they are without Andrei Kuzmenko, who we didn't know we would have at some point, but he's also gone. And John Tortorella not here on the final night of the season. Would you say that there's anything that has been more surprising than that? If we had told ourselves in the beginning of the year, game number 1, this is how the season would end, this is what the roster would look like, this is what the bench would look like, would you have believed it?
Yeah. I would have. I mean, yes. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I would have predicted Eric Johnson gets traded, right? That's not part of the thing. Mm-hmm. And I probably wouldn't have predicted Tortorella getting fired in the way that it happened.
Yeah.
Certainly don't think that would have been a prediction.
Yep.
But I would not have been surprised if you told me that the Flyers were a bottom 5 team in the NHL and that they would have a new coach next season. That wouldn't have surprised me. And that they trade Farabee and Frost, none of that would have surprised me. So I just think this was kind of how I anticipated this season would go. When you saw that they didn't make any moves in the offseason other than Eric Johnson, really was the only move that they made in the offseason. And that they were going to go with the goaltending situation that they were going to go with. And you heard Torts say it like right at the beginning of the season, like he said, the goaltending scares the hell out of me. That told you all you needed to know about what this team was going to ultimately be this year.
Correct.
So no, I was not surprised. I know that there were people who thought coming off of the season last year that they had, where they were, still in it on game 82, that maybe they would take a step forward. But in a rebuild, when you have a surprising season like that, very often there's a step back year, right? And this was going to be that step back year. Now, do I think that they can move forward and get into the playoffs a season from now? I do. Yeah. I do think that Danny's going to be very active pretty quick. And when I say pretty quick, I think that you're going to see him start to try and...
Jersey just won. Sorry. Continue.
Oh, no. It's the worst thing ever.
That's why people are yelling. 3-way tie. Kim, continue.
No, but I think he's going to do stuff real quick. And I think he's going to move draft picks. I do. I think that
those latter two in the first round, and maybe some in the second.
So they have 7 picks in the first 2 rounds, and I don't think it surprises anybody to say that the Flyers are going to trade away some of those picks because you can't use all 7.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you that I think at least 1, if not 2, will go before the draft even happens. Like I don't think this is all a draft day kind of thing. Like I think that Danny's going to be active.
That's bold.
So I think you're gonna see some stuff taking place prior to the draft rolling around. And so the question is, when Jay Grebby's saying during the playoffs, quick, Ant, really only because the Stanley Cup final ends and then the draft is right after. Right? Yeah. So it's like you don't have much time in between. So I think you might see
Mike.
A trade or two.
Great job this year.
Oh, there goes Mike. Hi, Mike.
Mike's the man.
What's that? You're going to come see my show? Oh, Mike, you're the best.
Mike's a great guy.
Thank you, Mike.
Mike,
the organist, is going to come see my show at the Players Club of
Fantastic guy. What a guy. Great guy.
He's awesome.
Does a great job. Tears it up on the organ.
I hear Bundy's trying to come to my show. Russ, are you coming to my show?
Probably not.
That's what I thought.
I'll be there. I'm going to try Saturday afternoon. I'm going to
set the bar low, and if I show up,
you got to let me know because I told you what I would do. And I'm going to put this out in public. I'm going to put this out publicly that if you show up Saturday when Bundy is there, I will dress in a 1980s costume and allow you to do like a big photo and put it out there.
I think you're just trying to, I think you just want to wear that costume.
No, I really
trying
don't.
to use this as an out.
I really don't, but it's a great...
Is it a leotard?
I'm not telling you what it is.
Can we get you in a banana hammock?
But it's very funny.
Can we get you in the Borat banana hammock?
It's a very funny costume.
The nice lime green?
It's a very... I tried it on. I was like, this is kind of ridiculous. Okay. Yeah. So I would wear it.
Mm-hmm.
So Aunt Maureen's going Friday.
Is she?
Yeah.
Well, that's great. How about that?
Yeah.
Cool. So, it's a good show.
Anyway.
See, I like going to shows where Aunt acts.
Well, you missed that one.
Well, I made it to the one that you did in like Pottstown a couple of years ago.
5 years ago.
Wow, it was a great show.
6 years ago.
It was a great show.
6 years ago. It was 2019, actually. 2019.
Great show.
Yeah. 6 years ago he came.
Yeah.
That was it. Never, not since. That's right.
I officiated your wedding. That was kind of like...
That was like a show.
That was like a show.
Right? It was very performative.
People seem to enjoy it.
You and I were performative at that.
I don't know if you were really performative. I mean, you performed what you were supposed to, and you kissed the bride, you gave the ring, and got the ring, and you did your...
You performed on the dance floor.
I sure did. I sure did.
Yes.
Anyway,
good.
Guys, it is there's like a bittersweet moment to these final games, to the 41st and final home game of the year. And you and I have now done this together, I believe, every season since 2018, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or was the...
Well, it was the end of the 2018.
So I was with you the 2018-2019 season.
Correct.
So
that was our
18,
first year
19,
together.
20, 21, 22, 23,
So this is the end of the 7th season.
Seventh full season, yes.
That we've been doing Press Row Show. Bundy has been with us. This is 2 years of Press Row Show? 3 years? No.
Well, 2 years of this
Press Row show.
But 3 years on the show.
3 years overall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And second year of intern Andrew. We'll bring him on here too.
2021, I came on the fall of 2021.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 3+ years with Bundy.
Yep.
The Press Row Show has changed over time. I would almost highly encourage. I thought about going back. There's a way to kind of like reclaim old videos off of like YouTube, and off of Facebook. And I was like, do I try to like go back and get old Press Row shows and put them on YouTube? And I'm not going to, because I think
when we were cramped together on your one computer,
it was like one side was I think Charlie O'Connor or Dave Isaac, and the other side was Bill Meltzer.
Yeah.
And we were super crammed in there.
Shoulder to shoulder.
You'd get Wayne Fish walking behind and kind of staring. Carchidi was.
Yeah, that was always.
What's going on here?
Yeah, Sam was always my favorite one.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you'd always get the people like trying to cram back through. And we had a nice setup this year. Last year's setup was fine. We talked to the team in the off season. We said, hey, maybe a couple of upgrades. Got some nice lighting going on here.
Yeah,
so
new lights.
We got
better tables.
Our spot was locked down a little bit better this year. Security did a great job as always keeping us safe.
A lot of great people up here during the year.
Yeah, my favorite though was the day when you fought with the fan.
Oh, I thought you were going to say when I caught the light.
Well, that
saved Andrew's life.
Saved Andrew. That was good too. But no, when you fought with the fan, because
it's on YouTube.
Everybody that was like not here reached out to me and said what a great moment that was. So that was pretty funny that they saw the clip.
Yeah.
But my favorite was the security.
Security. Yeah,
she was walking by earlier today. Came up to me afterwards and said, "Was I supposed to step in there?"
We're like, "No, you're good. You're good."
Oh, it's all good.
So
it was all good.
It was, there were some memorable moments this year. All right,
Andrew Fawcett when the drunk lady fell.
So I was gonna say, can we come up with like a top 3, top 5 moments of the season? I think fan yelling at the end of the game.
Yeah,
that's up there. Drunk lady falling on Mike the organist twice. That has to be a top. That has to be a top 5 moment.
Top 5 moment last week when Bundy touched my screen.
Bundy touching the screen. Might have been a top 5.
The Flyers Jets 9-8 game. Bundy picked the 3 stars.
Yes, that was a top.
When he outed himself years later. I think the Gauthier
stick taps.
Oh, stick taps under the table. That's up there. I think that would we say that the atmosphere of this season was the Gauthier
hands
game?
down.
Absolutely,
hands down was the most electric this building has been for hockey in years.
Yeah, that was crazy. That game.
That was an awesome experience.
We saw a couple good wins.
We'll see you next year,
brother. See you next year.
Thank you.
The Edmonton game was a good game. They beat Connor McDavid, the game right after the Four Nations Cup.
That was a really good game too. That
played a really good game.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of highs. There's always a lot of highs, even in a low season. There's a lot of good things to pick apart. Unfortunately, you get the 11 out of 12 games that they lost in March was a real killer.
Yeah.
That was just unfortunately left a bad taste in everybody's mouth.
Yeah.
Yes. So can I tell a story that I texted you guys this, but I never actually said it on the air. I think people will appreciate this. So it was right before Four Nations, and I can't remember why, Anthony, but you weren't here. It was just me, Russ, and Bundy.
Was that when I was sick?
Was that you down in Florida?
No. Before Four Nations, I was sick.
Oh,
maybe that was it.
Yeah, I missed a week. I couldn't talk.
Yes.
That was a great week, wasn't it, Bundy?
Yeah.
Yep.
So the Penguins are here, and I asked the question about the Flyers-Penguins playoff game when Bundy went on that rant on the radio.
Yes.
When Crosby was doing his antics and, cheap shotting people or whatever.
Yeah.
So we had like a 2 or 3 minute conversation about Sidney Crosby, about how he's matured over the years and whatever. And we ended up leaving that game early because of the severe winter weather. Just for safety, we left during the third period. So you guys had left, and I was just finishing up the equipment, and I went down the elevator, and Sidney Crosby, who was a scratch that night, got into the elevator with me and stood right next to me. And I was like, you know what? I'm never going to have a chance to do this again. I'll ask him a question. And I turned to him, and I said, do you know when you're coming back yet or no? And he was like, I have no idea. And I got to my floor, and I walked out, and I immediately texted 100 people that had just happened. And the funny thing is, 24 hours later, it was announced that Crosby was going to be playing for Canada in the Four Nations. So I'm like, he just totally BS'd me in that elevator.
It was you. You're the reason.
Yeah.
He totally lied to me in that elevator. He knew.
Enjoy my summer. Thanks. Have a good one.
So Bundy, who makes fun of me all the time for being too much of a fanboy, not only did I keep my composure I asked the hard-hitting journalistic question.
And you were, and then immediately became a fanboy again after that, texting 100 people. I just talked to Sidney Crosby.
It was a cool moment, but whatever.
It's all good.
See it, Timmy.
Turn Andrew motivated him to play. I think I did.
I think it was that.
That's what it was.
But that was
hey,
that was a goal moment.
Another good moment. Intern Andrew not knowing that the Flyers drafted Forsberg.
That was a good
moment.
Oh, that was good.
Just in fairness, all of these moments we will expect you to find and clip up into a best of the Press Row Show.
I don't know. Are you going to post it this time?
I know.
I will.
Because the best of 23-24 is still in your inbox.
I'll put that one up too.
I swear.
A year later.
Andrew, I told him repeatedly in the summer.
That is true.
Can you put up Intern Andrew's best of episode? Yeah. I'll do it. Yeah. Kept saying it over and over.
Like, I'll do it. I mean, I have nothing else to do over the summer, so other than write 1,000 trivia questions.
There you go.
Trying to think of, there had to be other moments, but
no, that's good.
Well, anyway,
I think it's a good way to wrap it.
The reason we say it's always bittersweet is because we enjoy doing these shows. We enjoy doing this.
Yes.
What?
Linda Joseph has it. That one, absolutely.
Oh, wait, hold on.
That is absolute all-timer.
The Penn State thing.
What's going on here? What happened there?
What happened
there?
Remember what he did to me pregame?
Yes.
When I was going on my tangent about how James Franklin was actually a great coach, and I had no idea you were behind me the whole time.
He was so
one
good.
of the best moments off camera was Bundy berating you in a text about you spoiling the one game.
It was a Nashville game.
Yes.
I was watching it because I tape delayed it, right? So I had to start it like later because I was busy. And Andrew's like, man, can you believe the Flyers pulled that out?
Yeah, no, it's Couturier in overtime.
He was so excited too.
And
I'm like,
but the best part about it was, I think, hadn't I just given you his number? We
added him to the group chat.
Added you to the group chat at that point.
You might have, yeah.
Yes, and so this is like the first thing that he did in the group chat. He starts talking about the game, and Bundy just starts laying into him.
I didn't know that was a rule.
Of course, it's a rule. You're a sportsman now. You're learning it. Now, listen, Super Bowl, that doesn't count. Like, if you haven't watched the Super Bowl in real time,
that's your fault.
That's your fault.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. Stanley Cup final game, like, you can say, wow, what a game that was. Because if I'm not watching it, I'm not tape delaying any other game except the Flyers, because we have to watch it for content and for information of how the team played.
Right. Correct.
So that's why I would watch any Flyers game, and I watch every one of them. But if it's a regular event, no, it doesn't count.
All
but
right,
that
fine.
did.
I have a couple of other top moments. This clip.
I've signed a boob.
I signed a boob.
Yep, signed a boob
at the carnival.
Signed a
from
boob.
Bundy.
Yeah, signed a boob.
So there was the boob signing. There was
we also got the story.
Bradshaw at the carnival about the smaller defenseman.
Yeah, but that was interesting. It wasn't like a funny moment. It was an interesting moment.
It was a good
tidbit, content.
Yeah.
But the other funny moment was, and we had not heard the story previously on the podcast, was when you had at the carnival when we had Saunders on, and you guys talked about the time you interviewed yourself.
As Billy Barber.
As Billy Barber.
Yeah,
that was a great moment too.
Yeah,
that was a tremendous moment.
Billy never showed up for the interview. Well, he was getting interviewed whether he liked it or not.
Billy, what did you think of the game tonight?
I thought the Flyers are at a little bit of a rough start, but they found their footing and they didn't score any goals. But other than that, it was a good game and I enjoyed it.
Hitch, do you think the Flyers gave the people a good...
I don't care about what happened here tonight. I just care about having a celebration cake for the end of the year. Win or lose, cake is still there. I love cake. And then a hot dog for dessert.
And with that,
all right, let's go sit in our cars and
let's wrap it up.
We will probably be back either later this week or the beginning of next week with a post-mortem of the Flyer season as a whole. We'll have a few announcements. There's a chance that we're going to be doing the fantasy playoff draft. We'll put a thing out about that. If we do, that'll be a live stream next Monday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that when I saw the draft is in that email, Bundy? So we'll put that out as well. But a big thank you to everybody.
Yeah, thanks
for this season.
great to have you guys all with us along for the ride.
Thank you to the commenters, YouTube, Facebook.
Yeah,
and
you
X.
guys are as much a part of it as us. So thank you for all your comments. It helps get us through some intermissions. When someone brings up a point, we jump on it and we marinate it.
Because the one thing that we never do is plan out the show.
No,
there's no planning. It's we go.
We just go.
The only real planning is if we get a guest on.
Yeah, that's it.
But there's not even like a, hey, what do we want to ask?
No,
it's
we just do it.
Off the cuff.
Yeah, we just do it. Yeah.
So
Right.
thank you.
Probably back next week.
Yeah. So thanks to all of you who listen. Thank you to the security detail who keep us safe up here every night. Thank you to the fine folks of the Flyers and Flyers charities and all of the people who helped us out this year, and the production team, the interns who helped to tear down and set up, and of course to intern Andrew over there. He took, I'd say, guys, he took a nice step this year.
Kenny's Movie Palace asked us if we're doing a draft show. Put that up on the screen so everybody can see it. So we actually, during second intermission, Flyers representative was over here talking to us about what's coming up and some stuff we have to talk about. And he says, you guys want to do something for it? We're like, yeah, we want to do something for the draft. So it's already been put in their ear. It's going to be discussed. So we'll see what it's like. Bundy will not be part of that though,
because it's a good reason.
There's a reason that he won't be part.
My daughter's getting married that night.
Yes.
So I won't be there.
That'd be awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So no Bundy on the draft night.
But I do think that we're going to try to plan on doing a draft show.
We'll do something.
I don't know if it'll be around here, or if it'll be down closer to Skate Zone. I think that there are two places that I can think of that would make the most sense, but we'll link up with the team on that one.
Yep.
Yeah.
But okay. I think that's probably it.
Yeah.
Thanks for a great season, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hope that you enjoyed this. Hope you enjoyed the show. And do us a favor, like the video, share the video, subscribe, share the channel, share the podcast feed, whatever, to other Flyers fans in your life. And hopefully we'll get some good news here. Listen, if nothing else, we have a draft to look forward to. We have an off season to look forward to, a head coaching hire to look forward to. There's going to be a lot of news. And your number one source for that news is the Only Flyers podcast. And yeah, we do happen to be
that silly podcast,
but we are the Only Flyers podcast. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks again for watching, maybe even listening to the Press Row Show, the number one rated pregame, intermission, and postgame show. Talk to all of you next season. Good night.